Hi, and welcome to the Magic in Minutes guide. In this video, we'll set you up with the platform and teach you the basics of creating with Magic. For this tutorial, you will need a device, a button module, and a glow module, as well as a phone with the Indistinguishable from Magic app downloaded onto it. If you don't already have the app, either go to the App Store or Google Play Store, type Indistinguishable from Magic, and download it from there.
To start, we're going to stream data from the modules into the device and then into the app. The first step is to turn on the device. To do that, we're going to find the switch located next to the USB port and flip it to the left. When you do that, you're going to see a status light turn on, indicating that the device is on. To connect to the device, open the app. Tap the Bond menu, which is represented by 4 dots in the top left-hand corner. Tap the blue Scan button and wait for the device icon to pop up. To connect, tap the green Connect button, which will open the app's hardware view. The hardware view in the app shows a representation of the device's layout and allows you to configure and interact with your hardware. The orientation of the symbols in this hardware view correspond to the orientation of the ports on the device, with the battery icon at the bottom of your screen lining up with the USB-C port at the bottom of the device. The device has 8 ports that are numbered 1 through 8, starting with 1 at the top and 8 at the bottom, right next to the USB-C port. Each port has a corresponding marking on the side of the device. These markings are either dots or dashes and serve to signify which modules can go into which ports and the correct orientation of modules when plugging them in. If you look at all the modules, they have a corresponding marking that's either a dot, a dash, or both. Dots can be plugged into dot ports, dashes can be plugged into dash ports, and modules with both a dot and a dash can be plugged into any port. The first module we're going to work with is the button module. It's our simplest module, but it's a great one to start out with. The button module has both a dot and a dash on it, which means you can plug it into any port. Plug it into port 2, making sure that the dot and dash line up with the dash on the side of port 2. Now, within the app, tap on the red circle for port 2. The module view will show empty, and it will have the port number in the top right-hand corner. Tap the modules button in the bottom left-hand corner. This will pull up your module menu. The menu also serves as a good way to double-check which modules can be plugged into which port. Tap on the button symbol. Close the module menu by either swiping down or tapping out of it. Now, if you press the physical button, the button's module view will show switching between on and off. Congratulations, you're streaming data. You can follow the exact same process with any of our input modules. Setting an output module is the exact same process as setting an input module, except in this case, instead of reading data, we're going to control the output of the module through the app. Today, we're going to be using our glow module as our output, which is an array of 6 individually addressable LEDs. To set up the glow module, we're going to follow the same steps we followed with the button. A glow module has both dots and dashes. So like a button module, it can be plugged into any of the 8 ports. We will use port 7. When you plug it in, make sure the dot and dash are aligned with the dash on the side of port 7. Within the app, tap on the port 7 icon, and then tap on the modules button again. Tap on the glow symbol. There's a lot you can do with the glow module. But for right now, the pattern is automatically set for all 6 LEDs to turn purple. Hit the send button. Fair warning, they can be bright, so to turn them off, tap the colored palette icon and slide the brightness all the way to the right. Swipe down or tap out of the menu and hit send again. Each output module is unique, and its module view in the app has a custom interface for controlling that output. You can learn more about each of these outputs and their interfaces in our documentation. All right. And with that, you're ready to stream inputs and outputs through the app. Just by streaming data, there's already a lot that you're ready to build. And we're just getting started.
The next step is to have outputs be controlled by input data. This is where equations come in. Equations are forms of no-code logic that run directly on the hardware. For this example, we're going to use the button module and glow module that are already connected, so that when you press the button module, the glow module turns on. This will serve as the foundation to allow any input to interact with any output. The logic for the equation we are creating will be, When button is pressed, set glow to electric violet, and when button is not pressed, set glow to black. To start building an equation, you either have to sign in or create an account. To do this, tap the bond menu in the top left-hand corner, swipe to the left, and either tap Sign In or Sign Up and enter your account information. To close the menu, either tap out of it or swipe up. The home screen will now have your equations view. This is where all the equations in your account will be listed. To create a new equation, tap the plus icon. This will pull up the equations canvas where you will create and edit your equations. There are a lot of elements to build with equations, and we encourage you to read through our documentation to explore them. But for right now, we'll use the starting building blocks. The first step is to add our logic. Tap the Add button, which is the blue button with a plus icon. This will open your equation palette. Tap on the purple logic button. This will open the logic menu. Tap the When button, and then swipe down or tap out of the menu to close the screen. The sentence on our canvas reads, "When this happens, do this." This logic sentence is the basis of our equation and serves as its structure. The next step is to have "this happens" become "button is pressed." Tap "this happens" to pull up the inputs menu. Tap button for the button module's equation view. The state of the button is the property we are checking against, and whether it is pressed or not pressed. Tap pressed, and then tap Add Input. The next step is to have the lights turn on. Tap Do This to pull up the Outputs menu. Tap Glow. We'll have the lights turn purple like we did when we controlled it directly. Tap Add Glow. The equation is fine as it reads now, but if we were to cast it onto the hardware, as soon as we press the button, the glow module would turn on and stay on. In order for the glow module to turn off, we have to add the inverse piece of logic, which is when the button is not pressed, turn glow to black. To do this, we'll follow the same steps as before, but with a few minor differences. Tap the blue button, Logic, and then When. Tap This Happens, and then tap Button. This time tap Not Pressed, and then Add Input. Tap Do This, and then Glow. To turn off the lights, tap the color palette icon and slide the brightness all the way to the right. Swipe down on the Pattern Options menu or tap out of it to close. Then tap Add Glow. Our equation is complete and is ready to be cast. Casting is the process of setting an equation onto a piece of hardware. Once an equation is cast, it will constantly run on your hardware without needing a peripheral device. Even if you turn the piece of hardware off and on, when you turn it back on, the equation will pick back up. To open the cast view, tap the casting icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the equation canvas. Tap the Tap to select hardware text. This opens your hardware selection menu. Tap the blue Add button next to the device you want to cast onto. Close the menu by tapping out of it. Tap the Cast button. The button will dynamically update as it goes through the casting process. A screen will pop up to set the module configuration. Make sure the modules are plugged in before you finish this step. Hold and then drag the modules to match the device's configuration. In this case, the button module is on port 2 and the glow module is on port 7. If the modules happen to not be set, it will set them in this step. Once you have dragged the modules, tap the green checkmark button. The equation is now cast. If we press the button module, the glow module will turn on, and when we release the button, the glow module will turn off. Congratulations! You now have the foundational knowledge to start creating with Magic. All projects are a combination of modules, equations, and sometimes APIs.
The possibilities for what you can now create are as limitless as your imagination. We can't wait to see what you build.